The night was quiet, except for the sound of rain tapping against the metal walls of Eli Mercer's small outpost. The wind howled like a lost creature outside, and the sky above was covered in thick, dark clouds. Eli sat at his desk, working on a small machine, trying to keep himself busy. Life on this strange planet was lonely, but he was used to it. He looked at the clock. Midnight. Another long night. Just as he reached for his cup of tea, a loud knock echoed through the room. He froze. No one ever visited him, especially at this hour. The colony was far, and the local aliens, the Alari, never came near human homes. Something was wrong. Knock. 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 This time, the knock was faster, louder, almost desperate. Eli stood up, his heart beating faster. He slowly walked to the door, unsure what he would find. As he opened the door, a strong gust of wind and rain blew in, making him take a step back. But what shocked him more was the figure standing in front of him. It was a girl, but not human. Alari, with glowing blue markings on her pale skin and large, dark eyes full of fear. Her long, silver hair was wet and sticking to her face. She was shaking, both from the cold and something else. Terror. "Please, come inside, human," she cried out, her voice shaky, her strange accent making the words sound soft and musical. "Please, they are coming." Eli stared at her, confused. What was an Alari girl doing here? Why was she afraid? And who was coming? "Wait, slow down," Eli said, holding up his hand. "What are you talking about? Who's coming?" But she only looked behind her, into the dark night. Her eyes grew wide. "Please, no time. You will die too if you don't help me." Before Eli could decide, he saw movement in the darkness. Shadows, tall and fast, moving closer. His heart jumped. Whoever they were not friendly. "All right, get inside," he said quickly, stepping aside. The girl rushed in, almost falling as she passed him. Eli slammed the door shut and locked it. The shadows reached the edge of the clearing, but didn't come closer. For now. Eli turned to the girl. She stood near the wall, breathing hard, water dripping from her clothes. Now that he could see her better, he noticed a long cut on her arm. Her glowing markings flickered like a broken light. "Who are you? Why are you here?" Eli asked, still trying to make sense of what was happening. The girl looked at him with wide eyes. "My name is Sarah," she said softly. "I had nowhere else to go. My people, they want to take me because I know something. Something they don't want humans to know." Eli frowned. "What are you talking about? Why would they care about us?" Sarah shook her head. "Because, if you know what I know, humans will not leave this planet, and my people are afraid of that." Eli rubbed his face. He had come to this planet to help build a new home for humans, but the Alari had always kept their distance. Some said they had secrets, but no one knew what. Now, standing in his room, was one of them, bleeding and scared. "You need a doctor," Eli said, walking over to a box of medical supplies. No doctor. If anyone knows I'm here, they'll find me," Sarah said quickly. "You are an engineer, right? You work with machines." Eli nodded slowly. "Yeah. Why?" She looked at him, her dark eyes serious. "Because I need help fixing something old and hidden. If I don't, something bad will happen to everyone. Humans and Alari." Eli stared at her. He was just a mechanic, a builder. Not a hero, not a soldier. But now this girl was asking him to help her with something that sounded dangerous and huge. "What is it you need to fix?" he asked carefully. Before she could answer, there was another sound. A low humming outside. The shadows had not gone away. They were watching, waiting. "We have to leave soon," Sarah whispered, "or they'll come inside." Eli looked around his small room. He had a warm bed, a safe place. But if what she said was true, nowhere would be safe for long. He sighed. "All right, Sarah. You can stay here for now. But in the morning, you're going to tell me everything." She nodded, her eyes softening a little. "Thank you, human." Eli gave a small smile. "Call me Eli." Outside, the wind howled louder, but inside, for now, they were safe. Yet Eli knew, tomorrow, everything might change. The morning sun peeked through the clouds, shining weak light over Eli's small shelter. The storm was gone, but the ground outside was muddy, covered in deep footprints, not human footprints. Inside, Eli sat at the small table, watching Sira. She had cleaned up a little, but her long silver hair was still tangled. Her blue markings no longer flickered so much, but she looked tired, as if she hadn't slept in days. Eli placed a cup of hot tea in front of her. She stared at it for a moment, then slowly picked it up. "Thank you," she said softly. Eli nodded. "You're welcome. Now, you said you'd explain everything. What's going on, Sira? Why were those things chasing you?" Sira looked down at her tea. For a long time, she didn't speak. Eli waited, watching her. Finally, she took a deep breath and began. "My people, the Aelari, have always lived on this planet, long before humans came," she said. "But what you don't know is that this planet is alive in a way you can't imagine. There are machines, old machines, deep underground, machines that keep the planet safe and growing." Eli frowned. "Machines, like human machines?" Sira shook her head. "No, much older, from a time even my people don't fully understand. The machines control the weather, the land, even the air. But now, something is wrong. The machines are breaking." Eli leaned forward, curious. "So why not fix them?" Sira looked at him with sad eyes. "Because only certain Aelari can speak to the machines. My family. We are the last ones who know how. But when I found out what was really happening, they wanted to stop me." Eli raised an eyebrow. "Stop you? Why?" Sira hesitated. "Because I learned that the machines were not built just for Aelari. They were built for another race, long gone. A race that looks like you." Eli blinked, surprised. "Humans?" She nodded. "Not exactly, but close. Your kind was meant to come here. You were meant to help us fix the machines, but my people are afraid. They think if humans know the truth, you will take the planet for yourselves." Eli sat back, trying to understand. "But we came here because Earth is dying. We didn't know anything about this." "I know," Sira whispered. "That's why I came to you. I think you can help me fix the machines. But if my people catch me, they will make sure you never know." Eli rubbed his chin, thinking hard. "Why me? I'm just an engineer. I fix engines and machines, but I've never dealt with whatever these ancient things are." Sira's eyes glowed softly. "Because the machines are waking up. When I ran from my people, I found one of them, an old sentinel. It didn't answer me. But when you came near last night, I felt it. The machine reacted to you." Eli's heart beat faster. "What do you mean, reacted?" "The machines know you are here," Sira said quietly. "They were waiting for someone like you." Eli stood up and walked to the window. He looked out over the muddy ground, where the strange footprints still showed. Somewhere out there, Sira's enemies were still searching. "You're telling me that I can control some ancient alien machines?" he asked, half to himself. "I don't know if you can control them," Sira said, standing up too. "But I believe you can speak to them. And if we don't do something soon, this planet will die. The storms will grow worse. The ground will break. And not just Aelari, your people will suffer too." Eli turned to face her. "Why should I trust you, Sira? Maybe this is a trick." Sira's face fell, but she walked closer to him. "Because if I wanted to trick you, I would not have come here. I would not be running for my life. Please, Eli. I don't want to see your people hurt. I don't want to see anyone hurt." Eli looked into her dark eyes and saw the truth there, and the fear. He sighed. "All right. Suppose I believe you. What do we do now? Sira looked relieved. There is a place, a hidden cave, deep in the mountains. An ancient machine sleeps there. I think if you touch it, it will wake. But it's far, and my people will be watching. Eli nodded slowly. Then we'll need supplies, and a way to move without being seen. Sira smiled weakly. You'll help me. Eli gave a small smile back. I guess I don't have much choice. If what you say is true, we're all in danger. Outside, the morning sun shone through the clouds, but in the distance, Eli could see dark shapes moving. The ones chasing Sira were still out there, and they would not stop. All right, Eli said, looking at her seriously. Let's get ready. Looks like we have a long road ahead. Sira nodded. Thank you, human. Call me Eli, he said with a grin. She smiled softly. Then thank you, Eli. As they began to gather supplies, both of them knew this was only the beginning of a much bigger journey, one that could change the future of both their worlds. The sun climbed higher in the sky as Eli packed his small bag with tools, food, and water. His hands moved quickly, but his mind was full of questions. Could Sira really be telling the truth? Were there ancient machines deep in the planet that only he could wake? Sira stood near the door, watching him. She looked stronger now, though the cut on her arm was still wrapped in a bandage Eli had given her. Her glowing blue markings were calm, but her eyes still carried worry. Are you ready, Eli? She asked softly. As ready as I'll ever be, Eli replied with a small smile. He picked up a scanner, just in case. You're sure this cave is real? You've been there. She nodded. Yes, I found it by accident when I was younger. I wasn't supposed to be there. But now, it might be the only place that can help us. Eli glanced out the window. The strange footprints from last night were still there, but the shadows were gone. For now. How far is this cave? Eli asked, tightening his backpack straps. About 2 days' walk, Sira answered, through the forest and across the cliffs. But we must be careful. My people will search for me. They may already know I came here. Eli sighed. Then we better move fast. They stepped outside, the morning air still cool and fresh after the storm. The land around them was green and wild, with tall trees that looked nothing like earth trees. The sky above was bright, with 2 suns glowing in the distance. As they walked, Eli couldn't help but think how strange and beautiful this world was, and how dangerous. So, Eli said after a while, trying to break the silence, if these machines are as powerful as you say, why didn't your people fix them before? Sira looked down at the ground. Because they don't want to share this planet. They don't want humans to know how much power the machines hold. Some believe if humans learn the truth, they will take control. Eli shook his head. But we came here because we had no choice. Earth is dying. We need a new home, but we didn't come to fight. I know, Sira said, her voice soft. But fear makes people do foolish things, even my people. They walked in silence for a time. The only sound was the wind through the trees. Birds with colorful feathers flew overhead, and strange animal cries echoed in the distance. As they moved deeper into the forest, Eli noticed Sira's eyes scanning the trees carefully. What are you looking for? He asked. Signs of hunters, she replied. My people may send trackers after me. They don't give up easily. Eli tightened his grip on his bag. He was good with machines, but he had no weapon, no way to fight if they were attacked. Do they want to hurt you? He asked quietly. Sira hesitated. If they catch me, yes, maybe. They don't want me to speak to you. They don't want me to wake the machines. Eli frowned. Then we better make sure they don't catch us. Suddenly, Sira stopped. She held up her hand, motioning for Eli to stay still. What is it? Eli whispered. She pointed to the ground. There in the mud were fresh footprints, not theirs, and next to them, strange claw marks. They are close, Syrah whispered, her eyes wide. Eli felt a chill go down his spine. What do we do? Syrah looked around quickly. This way. Off the path. We can hide in the trees. They moved quietly, leaving the trail behind. Syrah led him through thick bushes and tall grass until they found a small hollow under a tree. They crouched there, barely breathing. A few minutes later, Eli heard footsteps, soft but steady. From the trees, two Ailari hunters appeared. They were tall and graceful, with armor made of glowing stones. Their eyes searched the ground, following the trail. I know she came this way, one said in a language Eli couldn't fully understand. She has the human with her, the other replied. The elders say he is dangerous. Eli's eyes widened. Dangerous. The hunters moved past them, still following the trail. Syrah waited until they were out of sight before standing up. They think I'm dangerous, Eli asked as they began moving again. Syrah looked at him seriously. Because they fear what you can do with the machines. They fear that if you wake them, nothing will be the same again. Eli shook his head. I don't even know if I can do anything. But we must try, Syrah said firmly. For both our people. As the sun began to set, they reached the edge of the forest. Beyond it, mountains rose high into the sky. There, Syrah pointed. The cave is hidden in those cliffs. Eli looked up, feeling a mix of fear and determination. Well, he said, adjusting his backpack, let's go see what these machines want from me. Syrah smiled slightly. You are braver than you think, Eli. Together, they moved toward the mountains, not knowing what waited for them, or how much danger still followed close behind. Eli and Syrah stood at the base of the mountains, looking up at the towering cliffs. The sky was growing darker as the sun sank behind the peaks, painting the clouds with orange and purple. A cold wind blew down from the rocks, carrying with it a strange humming sound, like a deep voice whispering from inside the mountain. Is that the machine? Eli asked, listening carefully. Syrah nodded. Yes, it's awake, but not fully. It calls to someone who can hear it. Eli looked at her. Someone like me. She gave a small smile. Maybe. They began to climb, carefully stepping over sharp rocks and loose stones. The path was narrow, and in some places, there was barely enough space to walk. Eli kept his eyes on Syrah, following her every move. She was fast and light on her feet, but he struggled, slipping a few times. Careful, she whispered, reaching out to steady him. Yeah, Eli muttered, catching his breath. I'm not a mountain climber, you know. Syrah laughed softly, her eyes sparkling for a moment. It was the first time Eli had seen her smile like that. You're doing well, she said kindly. For a human. Eli smirked. Thanks, I think. After what felt like hours, they finally reached a small ledge that led to a dark opening in the rock. The entrance to the cave was hidden behind thick vines and glowing moss. This is it, Syrah said quietly. Eli looked at the entrance. The humming sound was louder now, like a pulse, slow and steady, as if something deep inside was sleeping but dreaming. All right, he said, taking a deep breath. Let's see what's inside. They pushed the vines aside and stepped into the cave. At first it was dark, but as they moved deeper, the walls began to glow with soft blue and green light. Strange symbols covered the stone, and as Eli passed them, some of the symbols flickered, like they were reacting to him. Syrah noticed. It knows you're here. That's not creepy at all, Eli said, trying to make a joke, but his voice was tight. As they walked, the cave opened into a large chamber. In the center stood a huge machine, half buried in rock and dust. It was shaped like a tower, with rings of metal spinning slowly around a glowing core. Eli stared at it in awe. What is that? It's called the Heartstone, Syrah explained. It controls the balance of this world. The weather, the ground, even the air. But now, it's broken. And if it dies completely, so will everything else. Eli walked closer to the machine. The glowing core pulsed like a heartbeat. As he reached out, the metal rings spun faster, and lights flickered all over the walls. "It's reacting," Sira whispered. Eli placed his hand on the cold metal. At first, nothing happened. But then, a sudden warmth spread from his fingers, and the whole room lit up. Images appeared in the air, holograms of strange cities, tall towers and skies filled with flying ships. But these were not Alari cities. The people in the images looked human, but older, stronger, and dressed in strange clothes. What is this?" Eli asked, wide-eyed. Sira was watching the images, her face pale. "These are the makers, the ones who built the Heartstone, the ones who made this planet safe." Eli turned to her. "You mean they were human, or something like us?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, and that's why you can touch it. That's why it reacts to you." The machine's voice echoed in the chamber, speaking in a strange language Eli couldn't understand. But somehow, the words also reached his mind, as if being translated. "System failing. Repairs needed. Awaiting command." "It's waiting for me to tell it what to do?" Eli asked, confused. "Yes," Sira said, "but you must be careful. If you give it the wrong command, it could break forever." Eli stared at the Heartstone. "I don't even know what to say to it." Sira stepped closer. "That's why I brought you here. I can guide you, but only you can give the order." Before Eli could answer, a sudden noise echoed through the cave. Footsteps. "They found us," Sira gasped. Eli turned to see 3 Alari hunters entering the cave, their glowing armor shining in the dim light. "Step away from the Heartstone," one of them ordered. Eli raised his hands. "We don't want trouble." "You are the trouble, human," the hunter snapped. "If you wake the machine, you will destroy us all." Sira stepped in front of Eli. "No, you're wrong. If we don't fix it, everything will be destroyed." The hunters raised their weapons, aiming at both Sira and Eli. Eli felt his heart race. The machine pulsed under his hand, waiting for a command. "What do I do, Sira?" he whispered, panic rising. She looked at him with steady eyes. "You must trust yourself, Eli. Trust what you feel." Eli closed his eyes, feeling the warmth of the Heartstone. The hunters were shouting now, but he blocked them out. Deep inside, he felt a connection, like the machine was speaking to him without words. Finally, he opened his eyes and whispered, "Begin repairs." The Heartstone glowed brightly. The whole cave shook as energy surged through the walls. The hunters stepped back, shielding their eyes. "What have you done?" one of them cried. Eli stood tall, watching as the machine began to heal itself. "I think I just saved us all," he said quietly. But as the light grew stronger, Eli knew this was just the beginning, and bigger dangers still lay ahead. The bright light from the Heartstone filled the whole cave, washing everything in a soft blue glow. Eli stepped back, his eyes wide with wonder. The broken parts of the machine were moving, shifting, and fixing themselves. Sira watched in amazement, her glowing marks shining brighter. "You did it, Eli," she whispered, her voice full of hope. But the Alari hunters were not happy. They looked at the machine with fear, gripping their weapons tightly. "Stop him," one of them shouted, raising his spear. Before they could move, the Heartstone let out a deep sound, like a bell ringing from inside the earth. The ground shook, and waves of energy pushed the hunters back, forcing them to fall to their knees. "Stand down," Sira said firmly, stepping in front of Eli. "He is not our enemy. He's saving us." The hunters looked at each other, unsure. They had never seen anyone, not even their own leaders, make the Heartstone react like this. Eli took a deep breath and turned back to the machine. The glowing core pulsed gently, and then a soft voice filled the cave. It spoke in the strange old language, but again, Eli could understand the meaning in his mind. "Repairs begun, but danger remains. System detects great threat to planet. Eli frowned. What danger? He asked aloud. Sira stepped closer. What is it saying? Eli turned to her. It says the planet is still in danger. Even though it's fixing itself, something worse is coming. The Heartstone continued, its glowing light forming pictures in the air. The images showed dark clouds gathering over the land, violent storms, and huge machines moving through the forests. Machines that looked angry, like they wanted to destroy everything. Syra's eyes widened. Those are the old defense machines, she said in shock. We thought they were broken long ago. But they're waking up, Eli said slowly. And if they don't know who to fight, they might attack everyone. The hunters looked afraid now. You've doomed us all, one of them whispered. Eli shook his head. No, I'm trying to help, but we need to find a way to stop those machines. The Heartstone pulsed again. Human key required. Defense systems need command. Without command, all life at risk. Sira looked at Eli with new understanding. You are the human key. Only you can give the machines a command to protect, not destroy. Eli felt the weight of that truth settle on his shoulders. He had come to this planet to survive, but now he had to save everyone, humans and Elari alike. Where are these defense machines? Eli asked the Heartstone. The machine showed more glowing images, huge machines resting in deep pits under the forests, like sleeping giants. But cracks were forming, and sparks of energy showed they were waking up fast. We don't have much time, Eli said, turning to Sira. We need to get to them before they start moving. But how? She asked. They're far from here. The Heartstone's light moved toward a dark part of the cave. As it shined brighter, a hidden door appeared in the stone wall. Eli and Sira exchanged a look. Looks like that's our way, Eli said. The hunters, still nervous, stood up slowly. If you are truly trying to help, one of them said, we will follow you. But if you bring harm to our world, we will stop you. Eli nodded. Fair enough. But we'll need everyone's help to stop this. With that, they stepped through the hidden door. Behind it was a tunnel, glowing with soft lights that guided their path. The tunnel sloped downward, deeper into the mountain. As they walked, Eli couldn't stop thinking about what the Heartstone had shown him. Giant machines, storms, and destruction, unless he found a way to stop it. Why me? Eli asked quietly. Sira looked at him. Because you have the Maker's blood. My people never understood the machines fully. But you are part of them. But I don't know what to do, Eli said. Sira gave him a kind smile. You'll figure it out. You've come this far. You woke the Heartstone. You're stronger than you think. The tunnel finally opened into a large chamber. In the center stood a strange vehicle, a sleek ship, old but still glowing with energy. What is this? Eli asked, stepping closer. The last Maker transport, Sira whispered. It can take us to the defense machines. Fast. Eli looked at the ship, feeling hope for the first time. Then let's go. Sira nodded. Let's save our world. As they climbed into the ship, the hunters followed, still unsure but willing to try. The ship's controls lit up under Eli's hands. Somehow, he knew what to do, like a memory from long ago. The ship hummed to life, and as they lifted off the ground, the cave shook again. Outside, in the distance, Eli could see dark shapes rising from the forests, the defense machines waking up. We're out of time, Eli said firmly. Then we go now, Sira answered. With a flash of light, the ship shot out of the cave, flying fast toward the heart of the danger and the hope of saving both their peoples. But none of them knew what they would face when they arrived. The old Maker ship sped across the sky, flying low over the forests. From the window, Eli could see giant machines rising from the ground, their metal bodies covered in vines and dirt. They looked like monsters from a dream, with long arms, sharp claws, and glowing red eyes. Sira sat beside Eli, her face pale but calm. "They'd fully awakened," she said softly. Ela's hands gripped the controls. "We need to get to them fast, before they start destroying everything." The hunters stood in the back of the ship, watching the machines with fear. They had never seen anything like this in their lives. "Look!" one of the hunters shouted, pointing out the window. In the distance, one of the giant machines took a heavy step, causing the ground to shake. Birds flew from the trees, and animals ran for safety. "They're moving toward the villages," Sarah said, her voice filled with worry. Eli pressed a button on the control panel, and the ship flew faster. "We have to stop them," he said. "But how?" a hunter asked. "We don't have weapons strong enough." Eli thought for a moment. Then he looked at Sarah. "The Heartstones said I could command them. Maybe if I get close enough, I can tell them to stop." Sarah nodded. "Yes, but you must be careful. If they see you as a threat, they might attack." The ship flew closer to the nearest machine. It was massive, almost as tall as a mountain, with legs as thick as trees. Its head turned slowly, scanning the land below. Eli's heart pounded in his chest. "I'll have to go out there," he said. "I'm going with you," Sarah said firmly. The hunters looked at each other. Then one of them stepped forward. "We'll cover you. If those things attack, we'll try to distract them." Eli gave a small smile. "Thanks." The ship hovered close to the ground, and a door opened. Wind rushed inside as Eli and Sarah stepped to the edge. "Ready?" Eli asked. Sarah nodded. "Ready." They jumped from the ship and landed on the soft ground below. The giant machine turned its head toward them, its red eyes glowing brighter. "Here goes nothing," Eli whispered. He took a deep breath and walked forward, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. The machine paused, its head tilting as if it was curious. "Eli, it's watching you," Sarah said quietly. Eli took another step forward. "Stop," he said firmly, hoping the machine would understand. At first, nothing happened, but then the machine's eyes flickered, turning from red to yellow. "It's working," Sarah said, her eyes wide with hope. Eli spoke again, louder this time. "Stop. You don't need to fight. Stand down." The giant machine's arms slowly lowered, and it stood still, like it was thinking. Suddenly, a loud sound filled the air, a warning siren from the other machines. They had seen Eli, and Sarah too. "They're coming," a hunter shouted from the ship. Eli turned to see 3 more machines marching toward them, their red eyes glowing dangerously. "We have to stop them too," Eli said, panic rising. Sarah grabbed his arm. "You can do this. Speak to them like you did with this one." Eli nodded, though his heart was pounding. He took a deep breath and faced the approaching machines. "Stop," he yelled. "I am human. I command you to stop." The machines slowed, their heads turning to look at Eli. For a moment, it seemed like they would obey. But then, one of them let out a deep mechanical roar and raised its arm, pointing a glowing weapon at Eli and Sarah. "Get down," Sarah shouted, pulling Eli to the ground as a blast of energy shot over their heads, burning a tree nearby. "They don't all listen to me," Eli said, breathing hard. "Maybe they're confused," Sarah said. "Maybe they don't know you're human." Eli looked up at the first machine, the one that had listened. "Then maybe this one can help us." He stood up again, turning to the big machine beside him. "Tell them to stop," he called to it. "Protect us." The machine's eyes glowed brighter, shifting from yellow to green. Then it raised one arm and let out a loud echoing sound, like a call to the others. The marching machines stopped. "They're listening," Sarah whispered in awe. Slowly, the other machine's eyes changed from red to yellow, then to green. Eli let out a breath of relief. "We did it," he said softly. Sarah smiled, tears of joy in her eyes. "You saved us, Eli." The hunters came running from the ship, looking around in amazement as the giant machine stood still, peaceful now. Eli looked up at the machines. You don't have to destroy. You're protectors. That's your job. The machines let out a soft hum, like they understood. But as Eli and Sira turned back to the ship, the ground suddenly shook again, harder this time. From far away, deep in the forest, another shape was rising. It was bigger than all the others, and its eyes glowed bright red. What is that? Sira whispered, fear creeping back into her voice. Eli stared at the distant shape. I think that's the real danger, he said. And it's waking up. The peaceful machines around them turned their heads, watching the new threat. Eli knew their mission was not over. The biggest fight was yet to come. Eli stood frozen, staring at the giant shape rising from the forest. It was much larger than the other machines. Its dark metal body seemed to eat the sunlight, and its red eyes glowed like fire. What is that thing? One of the hunters asked in fear. Sira stepped closer to Eli, her voice soft but serious. That's not a protector, she said. That's a destroyer. My people thought it was only a legend. A destroyer? Eli asked, glancing at her. Sira nodded. It was built as a last weapon, in case of great danger. But something must have gone wrong. Now it sees everything as an enemy. The peaceful machines around them stood still, watching the destroyer as it marched through the trees, crushing everything in its path. We have to stop it, Eli said firmly. But how? Sira asked. Even the protectors may not be strong enough to fight it. Eli turned to the big protector machine that had first listened to him. Can you help us? He asked. The machine's green eyes blinked slowly, then it let out a low sound, like a deep voice. Eli didn't understand the words, but he felt the meaning in his mind. I will stand with you. Eli smiled. Good. We'll need you. Suddenly, the destroyer fired a huge beam of red energy that hit the ground nearby, throwing dirt and rocks into the air. Everyone ducked for cover. It's coming for us. A hunter shouted. Eli stood up, his heart racing. We need to command the other protectors to fight with us. He climbed on top of a rock to be seen and raised his voice. Protectors, I am human, and I command you. Defend this world. Stop the destroyer. For a moment, the machines were still. Then, one by one, their eyes glowed bright green, and they let out a sound, a call to battle. The ground shook as the protector machines moved forward, walking beside Eli and Sira, ready to face the destroyer. The destroyer let out a terrible roar, and its eyes burned brighter. It raised its giant arms, and weapons unfolded from its body. Rockets, cannons, and sharp blades. It's fully armed, Sira whispered, fear in her eyes. Eli took a deep breath. We don't have a choice. We have to try. The first protector charged toward the destroyer, swinging its arm. The destroyer turned and fired a blast that hit the protector straight in the chest, sending it flying backward, crashing to the ground. No, Sira cried. But another protector rushed forward, and soon more joined. They attacked together, hitting the destroyer from all sides. Still, the destroyer fought back, striking down protectors with its powerful weapons. We need to do something else, Eli said. They can't win like this. Sira looked at Eli, thinking fast. The Heartstone. Maybe if we connect to it again, we can give the protectors more power. Eli's eyes lit up. But it's far away. Sira pointed to the ship. Not if we fly. Eli nodded. Let's go. They ran to the ship, and the hunters covered them, firing arrows and small energy blasts at the destroyer to distract it. Once inside the ship, Eli quickly took the controls, and they flew fast toward the Heartstone's cave. Behind them, the battle continued. The protectors fought bravely, but the destroyer was too strong. As they reached the cave, Eli and Sira rushed inside and stood before the glowing Heartstone. Please, Eli said to the Heartstone, we need your help. The protectors need more power to stop the destroyer. The Heartstone pulsed with light and spoke in its soft, deep voice. Connection granted. Human key, Give the command. Eli closed his eyes, focusing. Send all energy to the protectors. Help them fight. The heartstone glowed brighter, and beams of light shot out of the cave, rushing toward the battle. Far away, the protectors' eyes glowed brighter, and their bodies shined with new energy. Look, Sira said, pointing at the sky. It's working. The protectors stood taller now, stronger and faster. They attacked the destroyer again, this time pushing it back. The destroyer roared in anger, firing its weapons wildly. But now the protectors were ready. One protector grabbed the destroyer's arm, while another smashed its legs. Finally, the biggest protector, the first one Eli spoke to, climbed on top of the destroyer and struck its glowing red core. With a loud explosion, the destroyer fell to the ground, broken and silent. From the sky, Eli and Sira watched as the red glow faded from the destroyer's eyes. "We did it," Eli whispered, hardly believing it. Sira smiled, tears of happiness in her eyes. "You saved us." The ship landed near the protectors, and Eli and Sira stepped out. The hunters ran to meet them, cheering. "You've saved our people, human," one of the hunters said with a smile. Eli looked at Sira, then at the protectors standing calmly now. "I think we saved each other," Eli said softly. Sira nodded. "Maybe now, humans and Alari can be friends." Eli smiled. "I'd like that." The Heartstone's light glowed gently in the distance, and the sun began to rise, shining on a peaceful land once more. It was over, for now. But Eli knew if danger ever returned, he would be ready to stand with his new friends. After all, he wasn't just a human lost on an alien world anymore. He was a protector.